month's seminar is entitled Black Men, Barbershops, and Prostate Cancer Wants the Connection. And I am so excited for the team to present today. Before we jump into that, though, I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping. So if you are not already connected with us, we encourage you to connect with us. We have lots of different ways for you to do that. We ask you to visit our website if you'd like, prchn.org. You can also follow us on social, and we'll be hopefully tweeting and encourage you all to tweet during this presentation. We will be recording today's seminar, and we'll be posting it on our website once, probably by next week, in case you are interested in sharing this presentation with others in your circle. So I'd like to also let you know about next week's, or I'm sorry, January's seminar. Our seminar next month will be starting off the new year with our friend and colleague, Dr. Darcy Friedman, who's the director of the Mary Ann Swetland Center for Environmental Health here at Case Western Reserve University. And she'll be presenting on shifting the food system to achieve nutrition equity. We're very excited to see that work. It reflects some of the work that she's currently doing right now. We're going to go ahead and put the registration link to that seminar in our chat box. So if you'd like to go ahead and register now, we would invite you to do so. As many of you know, our seminar pre-COVID was in person, and we really enjoyed being able to connect with so many of you virtually. But it makes it a little bit hard to know who else is sort of in our virtual room. So we encourage you to please add your name and organization in the chat today to introduce yourself to others that are joining the call, so they will all get a sense of who's here with us today. We're also going to use that chat box feature to type in our questions. So as you have questions, please feel free to use the chat box. The co-hosts will go ahead and monitor that for you while the presenters are presenting. Once the presentation is over, we'll open it up for questions and discussion, and we'd welcome you to use the raise hand feature so that we can actually hear voices and have a discussion. But you're also welcome to put those questions into the chat box. Okay, and now I'm very, very, very excited to introduce this wonderful panel of friends and colleagues and partners who will be presenting on this important topic today. I will go from left to right with introductions, and just so thrilled to introduce everyone today. So first on the left is our good friend and partner, Thad Franklin, also known as Milano. He is the owner of Major League Barbershop, which is is also a licensed barber instructor and a member of our Cleveland African American Prostate Cancer Project Community Advisory Working Group. He advises us on how we move through this project. So we are so glad to have his perspective here as well. Second, we have Mr. Andre McCoy, who is here to talk about his personal experiences with prostate cancer as a survivor, and having been in remission since first diagnosed and treated in 2017. He is also a barber and brings that perspective, and he's a barber at Urban Cuts Barbershop, so we'll be hearing from him. Next, we have Ms. Rebecca Miller, who is our project director for the Cleveland African American Prostate Cancer Project. Rebecca is a Cleveland native who has had passion for health education since early in life. It has been a real thrill to have Rebecca join our team and lead us through the work of this project. And we also have our friend and colleague, Sydney Evans, who is a certified community health worker and is a community navigator in our Cleveland African American Prostate Cancer Project. She is a student in the MSAS, getting her master's in social work. For all of these people, it's wonderful. They're just phenomenal people. It's phenomenal work. And I'm excited to have them share that with us. So thank you all for being here and being our speaker this month. I think that I am done with my presentation, so I'm going to stop sharing. And Rebecca, I would invite you to turn on your shared screen and get us started.
Great, thanks, Erica. Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us today to discuss the connection between Black men, barbershops, and prostate cancer. I'm joined by Thad Franklin, Andre McCoy, and Sydney Evans, who will introduce themselves as the presentation progresses. I'm Rebecca. I serve as the project director for the Cleveland African American Prostate Cancer Project, or CAP. I will be discussing CAP and the impact that we hope to make. CAP is a community-based prostate cancer education and screening program focused on African American men in Greater Cleveland, age 40 and above. This project is led by Dr. Erica Trappel. Prostate cancer is a form of cancer that begins in the gland cells of the prostate, which is found only in individuals who are assigned male at birth. The prostate is located below the bladder, and it makes some of the fluid found in semen that nourishes and transports sperm. As you can see in the figure on the right, abnormal cells form a tumor within the prostate and in some cases can grow to invade nearby tissue. It's not fully clear what causes prostate cancer. However, regular prostate cancer screening is the most crucial mode of prevention. Approximately 1 in 9 men overall will be diagnosed with prostate cancer. Prostate cancer incidence and mortality rates at the national level reveal staggering racial disparities. In Cuyahoga County alone, Black men are at a 60% increased risk for being diagnosed and an 80% increased risk of dying. Although more research is needed in this area, researchers have found that a family history of prostate cancer raises the odds of being diagnosed to 1 in 3. These numbers, the astounding disparity that permeates systemically, and guidance from our community advisory working group has prompted us to propose this community-based program, which was really designed to increase awareness of prostate cancer and prostate cancer screening in hopes that men will participate in prostate cancer and genetic screenings, establish a relationship with a primary care provider, and ensure the sustainability of our efforts by enrolling all 800 of our participants in an annual screening program. And this is really to keep men up to date with their screenings and make sure that we establish that baseline. So the key innovative components of our project include early PSA starting at the age of 40 among African American men. And as I mentioned, to establish that baseline. 2, comprehensive navigation, and 3, offering screening in a community-based or non-clinical setting. At CAP, we try to make the screening process easy. We do this by utilizing free community-based PSA and genetic screening, which reduces many of the barriers to access that exist. Prostate-specific antigen, or PSA, is the protein released by the prostate into the bloodstream. So the PSA screening is used to measure the level of PSA in the blood. These levels can be elevated in men with prostate cancer. Another way to look at the potential risk for developing a disease or a genetic disorder is genetic screening. So we also offer this as a free screening to the participants of our study as well. By starting the screening at age 40, we are able to allow men a deeper understanding of their risk and also the ability to monitor that risk over time. So you may be wondering how we get men to participate in these screenings. So with our particular population of interest, Black men 40 years and up, what could be a more suitable location than the barbershop to promote these efforts? So barbers are known to serve as trusted confidants to their clients, making them ideal individuals to fulfill this role. All of our participating barbers undergo a comprehensive in-shop training, along with the tools and resources they need to feel confident having these conversations with their clients about prostate cancer and prostate cancer screening. We offer the barbers an opportunity to be screened and go through the process, which gives them the lived experience required to be able to speak to the screening process. They also have our community navigator as a continual resource to be able to ask questions and be able to refer their clients who may need additional help with resource navigation. So who better to speak to this part of our project than someone who is actually doing it? So at this point, I will pass the presentation off to Milano.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Just want to thank everybody for being on the panel today, and thank everybody for tapping in and being a part of something special. Well, like Erica was saying, my name's Thad Franklin. In the hair field, in the hair industry, I'm known as Milano Barber to the Stars. I'm a celebrity barber. I've been in the hair industry for about 20 years now. And I started off my career cutting locally in my community, and then it stretched out for me to start doing like Cavalier players, Brown players, actors, and entertainers, and things like that that came into the city. So I always was around people in position of power, in position of opportunity. So I always wanted to come up with something that I can connect with the players, connect with the entertainers, and maybe start businesses of my own. So I already had a barbershop when I was young, but just the way, you know, how God works, it was funny because I'm a grandmama's boy, we'll say that, and say, you know, a lot of people are raised with their dads and their mamas. I was a grandmama's boy. So I had my grandmother on my mother's side, my mother on my father's side. My grandmother on my mother's side was one of, she also did hair when she was young, and she was a hair instructor also. So she kind of motivated me into the business. While my other grandmother was one that just motivated me into going to school, making sure you get your bank accounts, making sure you do all these things, you know, kind of help structure my life. So at a time where I lost both these women, I kind of had to come to grasp with, okay, now my support, you know, base is gone. So now what do I do? And, you know, just intervention in things like that. And me, you know, through prayer and things like that, I came up, it was like my grandmother's talked to me in a certain way, kind of inspired me into making a product and making a character that happened to be the first cancer character that was invented. And her name was Hope. And Hope represents breast cancer. It's a ribbon. Actually, here's one of my shirts I'll show you now. This is Hope. So Hope was, you know, a cancer ribbon that was made up, and it was made mainly for the women thing, you know, for breast cancer and, you know, different cancers that the women go through. But I know I was a barber and I was in a barbershop, so majority of the time I'm around men. So I kind of wanted to come up with something. So I came up with other characters that represented prostate, represented colon, represented things like that. And I started to sell my t-shirts, right? So of course, you know, me being behind the chair a lot of the time, that was my countertop right there. That was my register right there. So every time a client sit in my chair, I would try to sell them a t-shirt. And it sparked up the conversation a lot of times about prostate and about colons and about early screenings and, you know, things like that. And I happened to have a buddy that worked at Cleveland Clinic at the time by the name of Tori. And, you know, I just came to Tori like, hey, how can I get involved with this? Because I see so many men on a daily basis. And, you know, I talk to a lot of these guys and they trust me because, you know, coming up in a lot of times in the community where, you know, I came up, trust isn't really good for us with, let's say, the police department, or trust really isn't good with like the doctors. And you know, the dentist has to be one of the scariest things growing up. You got to worry about that needle, you know, but just, you know, just to move forward in a way, I wanted to, you know what I'm saying, kind of bring the trust factor back. So I started, you know, talking to Tori, and he put me in good position to where I can, you know, get a little bit of sponsorship to where every time a client sits in my chair, I can get a referral from this client and get him signed up for early screening, and I can be able to give them one of my t-shirts for free and it be, you know, paid for. So it was a great thing that, you know, helped me, you know, catapulted to the next level in this new passion that I grew for, you know, cancer, because I lost both of my grandparents to cancer. So all of it kind of ties in with my life and ties in with my passion, you know. So just a little bit, just to walk you through the process for those that, you know, might not experience the barbershop life on an every 2-week basis or something like that. A lot of times the client would come in and they would sit in the chair and they would say, okay, let me get a haircut. But then at that time, like during the haircut and the conversation, I would spark a question. You know, you ever got screened? Or spark another question like, has anybody in your family ever, you know, died from this? Has anybody in your family ever been affected by this? You know, and it turned to a thing to where that's why I appreciated connecting with Cap and connecting with, you know, the people at Case, because it gave us a lot of blueprint to where over the last couple of years, I was trying to do these things, but I was trying to do it without the total structure of the whole thing. And now this program gives us the way to where we can, start working with these people coming in a barbershop and actually getting them screened and actually getting them to these hospitals and getting them to these facilities to where they can get proper screening and get tested early and find out things early and, save lives. So, it was just another, step that I had to go through in life, when it came to the barbershop, how to express my passion, I would say. So, that started working. And then we started doing these videos to bring early awareness of, screenings through like using actors and using, Black men from my community that, wanted to come and my customers to come and be in the videos, and they start reaching thousands of views and, 15 and 20,000 views. So I'm like, this thing is way bigger than me. This thing is way bigger than us. This thing is, you know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like everything was kind of lined up perfect for us. And I mean, for me. And once I hooked up with Cap, it was like, oh man, we're about to take this to the next level. We're about to save more than the 20, 30, 40, 50 guys I can just do in my barbershop, because now we can stretch out to many barbershops and kind of take over the whole, the whole state of Ohio and, even farther probably. So, it was just, a great experience for me. I got an opportunity to even be one of the people that go and get the PSA, and get tested. I always was scared of that in my life, but after going through the process and, getting the little shot and, actually overcoming one of my fears, I would say, and then receiving that call that everything was okay, it was like eye-opening. It was like, man, how many people need this? How many people actually need this, that breath of fresh air to let them know nothing's wrong, or that breath of fresh air to let them know at this time you're okay. So now start your prevention and start doing the things to do, as a young man. So, that was, pretty much it. I'm loving the whole experience with Cap, and, I'm just very excited about moving forward and, seeing what we can do from this point. Anybody have any questions? Please shoot them out. I would love to.
Thank you so much, Milano. And your story is so impactful for me and how you got involved with CAP. I just feel like you provide so much value to our team. And every time you go over your story, I just learn more and more about you and the work that you've done. So I really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
So did you want to speak a little bit to being a lay health advisor to some of your clients during this process and what that looks like?
One more time, say that again.
A lay health advisor.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to speak to a little bit, what that looks like for you and your clients and discussing education and getting screened with them?
Oh, well, like I was saying, once I go through the process of getting them in my chair, then I go to shooting them the question. And then that question right there sparks interest. And then after that interest, what I would do is I would put on a video, because a lot of times my monitors are in front of a lot of my barber chairs. So from them sitting in the chair and getting that question, then it sparks an interest. Then from that interest, I show them a video. Then after that video, I tell my story. You know what I'm saying? So after the video goes off and they're like, oh, that's cool. I see, you're doing things with prostate, you're doing things with colon cancer. Then I tell them my story, and then after I finish, telling them my story during the haircut, I offer them an opportunity, and that opportunity is being what you want to get, signed up to come get screening. I know some people, that can, help you get in. I know the proper people that I can, send you their numbers to where they can, get them in the right position. So it was, that's it. And then a lot of them get signed up. And then from that time of getting signed up, it's just like a domino effect of helping one, helping another, then it goes to word of mouth, then it helps another, then it goes to word of mouth. And then those people usually end up coming back in the barbershop and giving a good testimony. And then that motivates others. That motivates other barbers and that motivate other clients to want to do the same thing. So it's like, a domino effect that can keep going for generations to come.
That's powerful. That's powerful. And so speaking to that story, we actually want to share a story, a very powerful story with you all today. So I'd like to introduce Andre to share his story, not only as a prostate cancer survivor, but someone who learned about their prostate cancer diagnosis from a barbershop initiated program. Take it away, Andre. Oh, you're on mute.
Mute.
Hello, my name is Andre McCoy. As Rebecca mentioned, I am a barber. I'm currently at Urban Cuts Barbershop. And Waverly Willis is the proprietor. He's also a member of the CAPS program. And I am also a cancer survivor. I was first introduced to the screening process and introduced to the idea of even pursuing treatment through a program that Waverly had at the barbershop for community awareness, reaching out to African American clients as well as all clients for mental illness, cancer, hypertension, and other medical issues. But to give you a little perspective to lead into this, give you a little bit about the background, my background. I've been in the barber industry for 15 years. I've been working with Waverly at Urban Cuts for 8 years. Prior to that, my childhood, I was an Air Force brat, and when I reached my puberty, I went into this military. I did time in the service. So as a male, I was raised under alpha women, but once I became an adult, throughout my years, I've always been associated with male groups, such as I was in a motorcycle club. I'm a barber. I attended school. I attended college for social work, for drug prevention, drug abuse programs. I'm a band member, playing an all-male band. Things are, like I said, I was in the service. So everything was basically male affiliated. I was around a lot of males. And in that, and through that, I developed, through that being in the presence of males all the time, I developed a masculine ego as far as unnecessary, thinking it wasn't necessary to have medical checks or to have myself checked out. I became thinking that I was invincible at being young as well. I thought that I was invincible, where I didn't need, I would never need medical care. When it came back to haunt me in later years, I ended up finding out through the program, through the affiliated with CAPS and through Waverly Willis, I found out that I had hypertension, I was a diabetic, and as well as prostate cancer. Well, I pursued the prostate cancer aspect when I was going to my doctor and I was getting colonoscopies and all these other checks because of the awareness that I received from this program and from Waverly. I started going to the hospital more frequently, just out of curiosity, because I wanted to be I wanted to live longer. I see family members dying of different debilitating diseases and chronic illnesses. So I didn't want to be one of those recipients of that. So I started going to the doctor, started taking it serious. But forget about male groups and everything. It was more about my health and my sanity and my health. So in process of going, I was curious. I asked the doctor one day, because Waverly brought it to my awareness about prostate cancer, about the statistics with African American men are 2 times more likely to die from it, and it could be a fatal disease and everything. So out of curiosity, I asked my doctor, could I have a prostate check? Why haven't I had one? Why haven't I even had one? She was of German descent and everything. So she offered me to go ahead and get the check, and I went the first step was a PSA. My PSA levels were slightly high. They were high. They were around 12.1 or 12 or 13, which was abnormal. But it didn't raise any alarm with her. She's cool. She said, well, that can happen because of enlarged prostates. It's not uncommon. So, but your next step, you would have a digital check. You want to, it's up to you. So I agreed for the digital check, and my prostate was enlarged. So she says, well, your next step would be a biopsy. Biopsy, because one test without the other, the prostate, the digital check is, or the blood test, or both of them together still doesn't confirm that you may possibly have cancer. It could just be an enlarged prostate. You have to have a biopsy to confirm. So I agreed to the biopsy. And when the biopsy came back, it was positive. Now I had misunderstood what the doctors were telling me because of my own education and my ignorance of what was going on. And I misunderstood that there was 4 stages of the cancer. And I thought that the doctor he said stage 2, but I'm looking at stage 1, which is when it spreads to the prostate and all the lymph glands and vesicles. So that means it's at that point became metastatic, and it's damaged, So I was thinking that he was telling me that, and that my life was limited, when he was really telling me that I was a stage 4, where it was too small for him to be filled. It can only be located in the prostate. So I went and panicked, and I was telling my family, making last arrangements, et cetera, and all of that stuff. All to no avail. When I really got to educate myself and really looked into it deeply, I found out that I was in stage 4, which could be treated, and I had options. And the options were, and it was not as, I magnified everything because in my mind, because of the fear of the unknown, the anxiety, and hearing things on the street level. I didn't educate myself. Once I got educated, like I said, once again, through Captain Waverly and the program and the doctor themselves, I realized that it was something that could be dealt with, and it was something that preventive maintenance can prevent fatality, and that was my main concern. I wanted to live. I wasn't ready to go. So I went on through the process, and in the process, the doctor explained to me some things. I had to have a hormone shot, which let me explain to you. Cancer, prostate cancer, and as also as much other cancers, but more so, feeds on testosterone, which is a male, testosterone. Males produce testosterone, and females produce estrogen. They need it, necessary for our masculinity. But the hormone shot was going to have to decrease the testosterone so that the radiation could work to attack the cancer cells. So he was telling me in so many words, I was going to lose my masculinity and I was going to have erectile dysfunction. And he couldn't promise that I would be able to regain that. So there was a lot of fear and anxiety involved mentally. But at the end of the game, at the end of the day, there was just one question that had to be answered. It was one way it could be. Did I want to live longer, or did I want to have better sex? Or did I want to have sex forever? Of course, I wanted to live. That was a no-brainer. And I just believed and put the rest up to God and left it to him. And of course, he stepped in and he took care of it. I took the hormone shots for a year or so. I did have erectile dysfunctional problems. I lost interest in any, in any sex or whatever, which was fine because I was able to focus on other things in my life. That wasn't a priority anymore. So that was good. And at the end of the day, the hormones wore off. The cancer was cured. I ended up being in remission. 5 years later, I have no traces of cancer. My PSA levels are under 1. My confidence is restored. My life is well. It's great. And now I'm used as a conduit. This is very, very beneficial because an ant can eat an elephant one bite at a time. And through my nibbles, because Waverly has 3 shops, so I'm able to visit and frequent all 3 of them and reach out to clients wherever I go. And through my nibbling, I'm able to reach out to others. I'm a conduit. I consider myself as a conduit between the client and the doctor, because I've experienced it myself, and I can assure them that it's no fears, and it's in their best interest. And it's definitely preventive maintenance is the best thing to do. It's the best thing. It's best for their best interest and for their family, because you got to realize, if you neglect yourself and you neglect your health, you're not only affecting you, you're affecting your loved ones, your family. There's other people involved. There's your clients, the people that you serve, your service, customer community service. You're affecting a lot of people other than yourself. So you must, it is very imperative that to self-check and to use preventive maintenance. There's no, conquer your fears of the doctor. They're there to help you. They're there to get you together to make sure and ensure, because prostate cancer can be fatal. And it can be fatal, and it is twice as likely to happen to African Americans than any other demographic. So therefore, I encourage, and that's what I do. I lived for others to live, because my life has changed. I don't look down. I'm looking up. I'm doing things now. I've actually took on a couple of other careers in this late stage of my life. I'm actually 63. I'm actually 63 years old. So I'm a dinosaur. But yet, I mean, but it's never too late. To learn is never too late. To prevent yourselves. So I'm looking at another 20 or 30 years if God is want to bless me, maybe another 40. I'm good. I mean, there's things I learned in the process. I'm gonna just keep it simple and short. But there's things I learned to supplement the diet. I take things such as ginger, turmeric, cumin, vegetable protein, cinnamon, almond milk, protein drinks. I make sure that I exercise. Exercise. Sometimes I wake up in the morning, I feel like I can beat Superman's butt. I make sure that I get plenty of rest. Those things are basic. And if you do those things, your life can be long. You can live long. The clock don't stop, but you can live long and you can be healthy. So I just wanted to just share my story, because I am a cancer survivor, and I am a barber, and I am a conduit, and I am a community service servant. So I wanted to know if there's anyone that needs to know anything about this subject that I know that I'm able to help you, or feel free to reach out to me. And at that, I'll take any questions.
That was so powerful, Andre. Thank you so much for sharing your story, and all that you do for the community to make sure that others around you are also educated and encouraged to get screened. We really appreciate you being here. And so also, right along with that, just ensuring that this project is sustainable, keeps going, that we're able to get as many men screened as possible. I really want to invite Sydney also to speak to that part of our project, to add to the sustainability efforts of CAP.
Good afternoon, everyone. So like it was said, my name is Sydney Evans. On the CAP intervention, I work as the community navigator, and I will be talking about the potential impact of CAP as we move forward and engage with barbers and community members. Just to start out, I'm a firm believer that community is a feeling. Community is not just a built environment. People have to buy in. People have to want, to partake in the experience. During my career, I focused nothing but on communities. So my education started at Kent State University, where I earned a bachelor's in public health. Also during that time, I earned a license as a community health worker through the Ohio Board of Nursing. I fast forward on to being now a second-year student awaiting graduation in May in our Mendel, social work program. My concentration here is community practice for social change. If I wasn't busy enough, I'm the director for social work for the for Cases student-run health clinic as well. So go ahead. So the first thing that we did with the CAP program is that we did listening tours. And the listening tours is just going around to different religious or community centers and just gaining an understanding of what community members know. So we had a series of conversations focused around prostate cancer screenings, genetic testing. And during that time, we just sat and ask community members questions. We didn't provide any education. We just wanted to go in, have conversations with people, and just get to understand, what they know and what they don't know. But this is also an opportunity for us to build relationships with community members. Like previously stated, we are using the social capital and social networks of the barbers. And it's only right if we try and make efforts in order to, build our own relationships with these individuals as well. So I will say that the listening tours was a wonderful experience, and it was so great to learn new organizations, meet new people, and really build the excitement for a community-based prostate screening project such as CAP. So next slide, please. So this is kind of the nitty gritty of what it is to be a community navigator and what support I provide to barbers and their clients. So first things first, when people get into the program, it is very important to identify whether they have a primary care provider or not. That's kind of my first step, because this is something that we would like to sustain and kind of set a standard in which men become comfortable with the healthcare system and are able to advocate for their own care. With that, we understand that not everyone has insurance. And so therefore, I have underwent training in order to be able to enroll individuals in Medicaid and Medicare and be able to kind of shape their benefit package and really have them have an understanding of what, the healthcare system is and how it operates. The next thing, based off my assessments, I work on providing resources in the areas of social determinants of health. So housing, electrical, plumbing, transportation, anything that, the client says that I need this, or, I'm having a difficult time getting this resource. I go on the journey of trying to figure that out. And either taking that person directly to the resource or referring them through a system, and just basically getting what they need. To explain it to people, I say anyone who comes into the study, I make sure they are okay from their head all the way to their toes, and just kind of hand-holding and helping them through this process, because this is new for people. And just to be able to do it with someone who is understanding and, provides them with the comfort and the knowledge that they need, it definitely makes it a lot easier of a process for them. The next thing as a community navigator is assisting barbers and providing them with education. So I will be kind of on the journey of turning these barbers into lay health advisors. This has been a continuation of my expertise as a community health worker and just providing education to individuals. But it is, you can see the joy in the barbers as they, receive this information and, really feel like they can make an impact from their chair. And I like to say that a community navigator acts as the attitude of CAP. And I'm the outward facing participant. I'm the outward facing aspect of I get to deal with the participant, but I also get to deal with the behind the scenes work with the researchers and providers. And so if the attitude on, the inside of house is different than the outside of house, that is messed up. We have to have one narrative. We have to have one flow. And so that's why I say a navigator is definitely the attitude. We set the tone, we help, and we, bring comfort to individuals. And with that being said, my number one thing is customer service. I'm a firm believer that people are the experts of their own stories, and that you cannot not have people come into a study and not assist their needs, or, be willing to sit and talk about the Browns or talk about the Cavs. That's all one entity. And so that customer service piece is really important. And with that, the last point of, navigating people through these systems, holding their hands through these systems, getting them resources, being a solid person in the community. My hope, and I know our team's hope, is to create sustainable change where people or men are completing yearly screenings, and that, this becomes a standard of their lives, because this will not only trickle down to improving their health, but making sure that if they have brothers, sons, cousins, anyone in their family, that they are doing yearly screenings too. And the kind of, openness up as a conversation of health and, really advocate for themselves. It's really disappointing, as Black men or Black individuals, they work so hard, and to make it to the later stages of their lives and not have any type of life quality is really disappointing. And so this CAP intervention is nipping that right in the bud, and really helping, to guide people and have sustainable change in the community. So yes. So we are going to open up this portion to any questions, comments, or anything like that. We even take donations.
Thanks, everyone. There were a couple of questions that were put into the chat earlier, and I'm just going to go back to those and bring those up. So there were, whoops, I lost my chat. There were questions a little bit earlier when Milana was talking, and Milana, I'll put this to both you and to Andre, about how you start those conversations with your clients when they're sitting in the chair. What sorts of, how might you start that conversation? And do you ever get any pushback from your clients when you're starting to have that conversation about them taking care of their health?
Like I was saying, pushback, I usually never really get any pushback because in a lot of positions, barbers and hairstylists and things like that, we're kind of the counselor, we're kind of the best friend, we're kind of the buddy away from, everything that they have going on in life for that hour, for the half hour, however long they sit with us. And a lot of customers build a lot of trust for us for some reason. I don't really even know what it is. It's just my whole experience with that. Even when I was young, going to the barbershop, it's like, as soon as I got with my barber, his name was Sean, when I was younger, it was like I had a certain trust for him, a certain respect for him because, he was making me look good, and that's something that, we really, look forward to in life, to feel good and to look good. So once they get into our presence, it's like, it's a lot easier rather than me standing, like in front of the grocery store asking for a Christmas donation with a, Santa Claus outfit or asking people to sign up to vote or something like that, because they kind of have a relationship with us already. That's already, built. So it's more comfortable. So it's not really a lot of, oh man, I don't want to watch this, or, oh man, I don't want to talk about that. It's kind of like, oh, well, no one ever talks about this. Oh yeah, I like talking about this. You know what? This happened to me. You know what? This happened to my uncle. You know what? This happened to my brother. You know what? I really care about my kids. I want to be here. You have a lot of people from different walks of life. So, a lot of people that, I come in contact with, they're more worried now about focusing on their kids, So it's really about, going to get screened for their kids and going to get screened for the people they love so they can be here, for them in the long run. So yeah, I really don't have a lot of people running from the question. And I usually, just try to hit people with a little icebreaker question just to get them, kind of drawn into it. But, after that, and after they see the video and feel something that's heartfelt, it's like, why not do it? If you don't do it, you're really just, being hurtful to yourself or mean to yourself,
Andre, do you want to add to that?
Me myself is a little different, just a small variation from Alana. Sometimes if it's not rough, it isn't right. But I have a lot of experience I have a lot of exposure to walk-ins. Like I say, I do a lot of people that hasn't developed a relationship with me. And I have no fear in delving into that question with them, because those are the ones. And by the general nature of my clients are inquisitive anyway. They're inquisitive. I feed on their inquisitiveness. And I ask them, do you know if you got prostate cancer? You know anything about prostate cancer? What do you know about prostate cancer? I challenge them. What do you know? And then when they tell me what they think they know, or what they do know, or what they don't know, then I let them know. Well, I can tell you firsthand a little something about it. And I can tell you something you don't want, something you don't want to have. And that's my approach. It works for me. And the ones that's been with me for years, or been with me for a while, that are comfortable, we talk about everything from A to Z, from sports to ladies to education to politics, whatever. When we're comfortable with each other, then, well, they know my experience, because I shared it with them when I was comfortable with myself. I was able to, and they know that about me. So they will respect the fact that I'm not telling them that there's something that they should really do or pursue. And then I reach my goal is, because each one reach one. So if I can reach out to a person enough to where they get some kind of message to the point to where they don't mind reaching out to someone that they care for or love, then that's that ant eating that elephant, one bite at a time. So that's where I do get pushback, but I push back so that they can get it, because it's important. It's an issue. We just gonna stand up. We're gonna put our heads down. We're gonna put them together, or we're gonna point them horns in the same direction, and we can conquer the world, whatever. But that's the mentality I have to have, because it's a message that's very important, and it's not to help. It's to help them, and it's helping me, because my blessings are coming from me helping others. It's like I got so many blessings I can't hold on to them. Nothing come to a closed hand but a fist. So I have to let them go. Greed to get you hit, and pride goes before a fall. I gotta give it. You're not gonna stop me from giving this to you. Please give it to someone else, and they can give it to someone else, and the beat goes on. That's how I feel. That's how it goes.
Thank you. I'll share with all of our panelists that there are some wonderful comments that were shared with all of you. And if you aren't able to see them in the chat, I will gladly send those on to you, because there are well wishes for all of you that I won't share right now, but really lovely comments from our audience. We certainly have time for other questions. If anyone would like to come off of mute or come on camera, raise your hand. We'd welcome engaging some more of you in conversation. Yes, let's see. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm unable to get on video right now, but first of all, thank you all for sharing and the work that you're doing. This is so impactful. So I appreciate that. My question is more so in regards to, and maybe I'm misunderstanding, if there's a research component or kind of after the education is given and the participant or potential participant signs up. So this might be more directed towards Rebecca or Sydney, but could you explain the process there? Is there informed consent? We know how it gets with research and programs, and especially in the African-American community, sometimes, it's a little reluctance there. So if you could speak to that process a little bit more, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Great question. And you're absolutely right. Informed consent is essential. We know historically how that's gone very wrong. And so with our study, we try and offer the information up front so that people know what they're getting into and they know what to expect. Everyone is consented into the study. That includes the barbers, the barbershop owners, and the participants themselves. We also want to make it conversational. So for example, instead of giving someone a consent form with just writing, our consent videos are used to really communicate what they're consenting to. They're visual, and so people can really receive some of that language as well, because what does really consent mean, right? And what does that look like for people? And so, yes, this is a research project. So after they consent into the study, they will have those screenings that I mentioned earlier, access to Sydney, who is our community navigator, which is just a wealth of resources. So from the head to toes, like Sydney said, it is housing, food, income, whatever you could think of, medical access, transportation, et cetera. And so we really want to make sure that people can get the most out of this project, and that, again, going back to the sustainability, that they do consent to also that annual reminder that says, hey, it's time to get screened next year. So this also helps people with that preventative maintenance. Hope this answers your question.
It did. Thank you. And I love the, like in the chat, I love the idea of the video, consent video. So thank you.
That's a great question. Julian, I see your hand up, and then we'll go to Charles after that.
Great, thank you. This was an excellent presentation, so thank you all for sharing. I'm just wondering, and maybe Sydney, you can best answer this, but as you identify people that don't have a primary care provider, what does that process look like on getting them connected? Because, you know, selecting a doctor can be kind of an intimate process. And so I'm wondering, how much are you involved in that actual selection process, or are we giving people like a list of doctors that they can select from?
It's twofold. I will say that during the assessment of just asking individuals, would you like a provider of color? Would you like a female provider? Would you like a male provider? Just to kind of streamline. And another thing is that there's an aspect of us working with a community network. I'm not sure if individuals have learned about Unite Us, but Unite Us is a internal internal referral connection source. So there's major hospital systems, nonprofits, all of these different entities. And from that, putting in a referral, I know from, whether the provider has looked at it, whether they're reviewing it, whether they're getting ready to contact the client themselves, whether what date, just a lot of things are just basically streamlined through that system. And we also have, different partners that are, helping build the blocks of, an aspect of a virtual clinic, and just all of these different entities. But I am there from the beginning all the way to end, and then some, because I keep frequent communication with, if I give a resource, I will want to follow up in the next 2 weeks to see if that person was able to get in there, how was their experience while they're there, or even if they want me to come to the visit and just sit in the lobby and just wait. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Can I touch on that real quick?
Sure. Julian. Yeah, hey, how's it going, my man? I actually grew up and never had like a set doctor of my own. Like, even as a grown man, once I got my own kids, I never had a set doctor. A lot of times I would go to emergency, and whatever doctor came in the room, I guess in our eyes, we had to trust this person. And, even as when I became, a married man, it usually goes to the person that your wife prefers you to, or, whoever your dad or your mom used. And that's really, in a lot of terms, isn't the person that you need. You know what I'm saying? So it was very comfortable. Like Erica and they actually, reached out to a couple of people and like try to help me find a person also, because like databases and things like that set up is like very important, I think, for, men, because we don't know. And we're always just forced to have a person. When I was young, I had a doctor named Dr. McPherson. And I could just speak because I'm grown now. I was terrified of him because he was always the one giving me a shot, and his head was like this. So I was terrified as a young dude. I'm like, man, I don't even, but we're forced into those situations where we have to have these doctors. So it just helps now to be grown and be able to pick, like, I want a male, I would like a Black male, I would like actually a male that has some of the problems I ever had in life, so they would understand them. You know what I'm saying? So it just also, it helps out a lot. Thanks for that. Charles, I see your hand up. I'd welcome you to come off of mute and ask your question.
Well, y'all took the words right out of my mouth. Julian, Milano, Sydney. I was going to ask Milano, and Andre, if you all personally referred your doctors to anyone, just because of that trust factor that's in there, you all make us look good, so it always has that trust right there to go ahead and say, hey, check my doctor out. Also, Sydney, you talked about the retention. Sometimes us brothers, we will just go one time. And if the experience wasn't good or had a challenge, then we go ahead and move on without any further supports that we need. So just hearing that, I was grateful to know of those in place. But for Milano, Andre, just wondering if you guys also refer your doctor, because I have a good doctor. I trust him and I get his name out as much as I can if the situation does fit for like insurance and things like that.
But that's one of the deficiencies in my arsenal, is because I'm a veteran and I have a veteran doctor, and so there's limited, clientele that he could look at unless they have veteran, background. So that is a good question, but the process for prostate cancer for checking and screening is simplified, and you don't have to have the trust in a doctor to just take a blood test, which is just like you go get blood work all the time. You get blood work and to go get whatever many things you do for regular appointments and routine appointments, you go get blood work. That is the first step. Then once you develop or think that you might have trust with this doctor, you ask for the specific doctor, because that's where the trust is going to be entailed, because the digital check includes a little bit more intimacy. So from that point, yes, you will want to know, but you start with the blood test. Every journey begins with the first step. And the blood test is very simple. There's no one to have an excuse unless they're anemic. Unless they're hydrophobic and scared of needles or whatever their reason may be, then I don't want to take a blood test, because there's always a solution to every problem. So then take a saliva test and see whatever. There's a solution. There's no, either you'll find a way. If you want to do something bad enough, you'll find a way. And if you don't, you'll find an excuse. There's no gray area. So yeah, that's why I say I usually push back with my clients, but yeah, the fear is there, and it's real, but if you encourage them to just start with the blood test first, and then once they establish a rapport with their doctor, or they begin to, and the doctor gives them a more exponential education, then they'll delve into it a little further. But there's 3 steps, and there doesn't take a massive, tremendous amount of trust to find out something about yourself. You can do it with a general doctor, go to emergency. You can go say, I'm having problems with urinating, and I'm suspecting that I have prostate. I want to know if I got prostate cancer. They give you a blood test. Well, your PSAs are normal. They're not normal. They can stop right there. Nothing's wrong with your PSAs. But your PSAs are a little high, so we're going to have to give you a digital check. Is there a doctor that you prefer, or someone to prefer? And I'm just giving you a briefing that it can. No, I can't. That's one flaw in my arsenal, because I'm a veteran. I go to the VA, so I can't refer everybody to the VA. But there's an answer. There's a solution to that. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, big time, big time. I love how you shoot from the hip. That's that vet in you as well, and your compassion for us being healthy. As well as, like you say, your referral is more directed to, if you come in encounter with other vets, that could be a sense of help and direction. For retention, Sydney, I know I'm going even further with the question. You mentioned how you go, if it's needed, to sit with someone maybe further after, as Andre's saying, blood tests or other kind of monitoring sessions throughout the journey. Do you have a couple of brothers that also may go with men as well? And if so, or how can maybe we get the word out for other supports for brothers to kind of be there for brothers?
Yeah, I definitely feel like this is a community, all hands on deck from the community. And that, there is we are onboarding another community navigator, which will be announced at a later date, but just to identify that that person is a Black male. And I understand that people do not always have the comfortability of talking about these issues with a Black woman. And so, I support the individuals as far as I can, but sometimes it'll take, a team effort. And that we have not considered, having outside sources be the person who kind of sits those during those appointments. So that is definitely one thing that we will keep in mind. Just like how we did the listening tours, we, got feedback from community members, and this is another opportunity to, bring in that feedback as well. I really see CAP as a living, breathing, entity, and that we move with the community, because it's a difference between, going into a community and saying, oh, I want to change this, I want to do this, versus, what does the community need from me and how can I assist them? And so that's why the forefront is that community service piece, because there's the older phrase, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. And so, we have experienced other research programs going in and, having that vinegar mentality and not necessarily getting the honey. But I will say that it has, to even go further, sweet. It's been very sweet to, have that approach of, walking hand in hand with community members and, being there. So any feedback is very much appreciated, because we want to tailor this to the community in which it's a sustainable thing. We want people to, be sitting at the kitchen table and just some cat like, and it's a great experience.
Yeah, and Sydney, if you ever need another guy to tag along, we could put something together. I think we should call it Blood Brothers, because it's PSA, blood test. For the Blood Brothers to come and sit with the guys and, just be there for support.
And then a key, I think the main thing with all clients, I think the main thing is if you can instill a desire for them, that's the whole key. To get them to have the desire to get screened and get checked. Because once the desire is planted in the individual, the rest is going to be a walk up. It's going to be a walk. It's going to be downhill, because if you don't want to do anything, nobody can say. There's nothing I can say, you can say, they can say, or we can say to instill that person. He doesn't have the desire, but if they have the desire, they'll probably move mountains to get that done. So my thing is to plant that desire, that seed of desire in the person who want to get screened and find out. Because once the rest will do itself, it'll work itself out from there. Just that desire, that's that first seed. You want to plant that desire in them. Because like I say, if you want to do something bad enough, you're going to find a way. And if you don't, you'll find an excuse. Give them the desire, and they're going to find a way to get checked. That's all I got to say. That's it. That's where Waverly and CAPS did for me. They put the desire in me to be inquisitive, to go find out about my health, and I found out and I was able to do something about it. So that seed was planted first, that desire, the seed of desire. Planted that seed and then I watered it. That's it.
Are there any other questions for our panel? Well, I will certainly say, on behalf of the center, thank you so much for being our presenters today. And personally, thank you so much for being my partners and colleagues in this work. I just appreciate all the, every perspective that each person brings to this work, and the questions that Bishop Charles asked. And, every time I think we keep ourselves open to challenges, right, about how to make this the best possible thing that will serve people in the way that they need. So thank you for being committed to this work. Again, thanks everyone for joining us today. I'd welcome you to turn on your cameras if possible and share a round of applause for our panel for joining us today.
Thank you.
we obviously there's a lot of passion about this project, and we would welcome anyone who has more questions or wants to have discussions to reach out, and you can contact Rebecca. I already put her email in the chat a while back. If you know barbers or shops who might be interested in this work, please feel free to pass their names along to us or pass our contact information along to them. We'll be looking to start training in 2023. We're very excited to continue to grow this work. And thanks again for joining us. We hope you will also consider joining our January seminar. Again, it'll be featuring Dr. Darcy Friedman from the Sweatland Center here at Case. And we hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Getting people off.